Hi, my name is Piotr. I'm head of business at Walkabout, and I was a marketing lead on Werewolf Apocalypse Heart of the Forest game.
So talk about this Werewolf game you're making. Like, where did the idea come from to make a digital version of a tabletop game?
So all of us, the different Tales guys and us were huge fans of World of Darkness. I myself bought my first vampire book in '94, so it was kind of our bucket list to make something in this universe. So when our friends from Draw Distance did their first Vampire the Masquerade game, we thought, wow, I think we could do it too. So we contacted Paradox and we thought about which game we would like to do the most. And it was funny because all of us are vampire fans, but when we thought about it, we said, I think in 2020, Werewolf is really more relevant to where the world is right now because a pandemic, because of the climate change, a climate crisis, because of the fires in Australia. Remember the fires in Australia at the beginning of the year. So we thought this figure of this tragic warrior doomed to fail, who is fighting for the nature, for the Gaia. It might be one of the best things that we can do. So, and to be honest, we also played Werewolf, and Werewolf was the first World of Darkness game that was published in Polish in Poland. So we also had some events, real events that happened in Poland some time ago, and like the logging in the Białowieża forest. So for us, it was the best setting and the best place to set up a game.
For people who are unfamiliar with the RPG or just about your game in general, can you kind of give a brief description about what you do in your game? Your game's very unique. It has a very unique art style. It has a very unique combat system, character creation, that kind of stuff.
Yes. So what we did is we took the visual novel genre because we think it's the best way to introduce someone to the new complex world and setting, and add an RPG layer on top of it. So in a sense, during our game, you read the story, you make choices, but based on your choices, we determine who you are, change your character because you shape your character by your choices, and show you the world differently because of who your character became. So if you don't know, the werewolves in the Werewolf Apocalypse game operate on rage. The rage can help them do stuff, but also when you're on high rage, it's really cloud your judgment. So the more rage you have, the more binary your choices are, the more you want to act. So sometimes you don't think clearly, and sometimes you will do stuff that you will regret. So we've also introduced this system to our game. So always you can see how much rage you have, and you might see how this rage will influence the world that you see. We also added another second important characteristic from the tabletop RPG. It is willpower. So willpower helps you overcome your rage. So if you're really ragey and want to kick someone, you might spend a willpower point not to do it, or you might spend it to do the things that you wouldn't do in real life, like touch a severed head. And you regain the willpower by pursuing goals and learning things that you choose as your path in the game. We also have a health status. So this is, of course, used for combat. So in a way, what we did, I think we go beyond visual novel genre, and we did we captured the experience of single-player tabletop RPG when the computer is your game master.
Now, your team isn't unfamiliar with comic book style graphics. I mean, you've done other games like those before. Talk a little about the visual art style in your game.
Yes, as we all are fans of tabletop RPG, we also very like illustration and art in the core books and rule books to tabletop RPG games. And what they did, they weren't meant to picture you exactly how things work. They were meant to fuel your imagination. So, because we strongly believe that our game happened in the best HD setup that you can have, so in your head, in your brain. So we do everything to support your imagination. So you can hear the really nicely done ambient sounds, which should put you in the action, and the art, which should suggest some things, but also make you imagine things. And if you look for clear inspiration, Dave McKean and one of our favorite graphic novels, Sandman, is the way to look.
So is it hard when you're designing a game that has so many different node outputs and situations. I mean,
Yes.
like you come into a guy in the woods and you can either talk to him, kill him, or ignore him, and then that opens up another branch. And
or
it goes on
he can never be there, right? He can never
Yeah.
be there, or you can like him. Yeah. So our dev team designed the special systems to help them do it. So I asked them some time ago, like, guys, how many variations? Because each when you play our game, you can see on the left side there's a status indicator, what changed because of something. So this description was changed because either you like this guy, or maybe you have high rage, or maybe your personality as we perceive it is analytical. So we will show you the world differently. So I asked them, with all the branching of the story, how many different variations can we have in the game? And they counted around 200,000. So we do not only have 5 different endings, but many paths that you could go through. So I think you can safely say you can play the game 3 to 4 times and have completely different outcomes, completely different situations. And when you read the previews or watch the previews online from the demo, you can see how different person Maya can be. She might be like this awakened ecological warrior who wants to protect the forest and dreams about it and doesn't know what to do, but the spirits guide her. Or this like scared, lonely girl who's troubled by weird visions and she just wants to be left alone and she's neurotic. So we capture all of this with our specially designed like the system that lets us show you the world accordingly to your state of mind.
And like people have been making tabletop RPGs to video games a lot. I mean, we've seen Mu Zero a few years ago, but now we're seeing an even bigger resurgence now. Why do you think that is?
I think it's the right time. Like for me, the World of Darkness is the 90s, and we come back to the 90s. So all the themes that were covered were come back to us. And also, these were the awesome, really thought through and deep universes. And people around in their 30s and 40s, and even and of course younger, who just want stuff from this universe. And right now, because Paradox is letting us do games in the universe, so more and more stuff will come from this corner. But also, I think RPGs and tabletop RPGs will go back, especially during pandemic times when there's a way to connect other people. But you can look how popular YouTube channels that people just play RPGs get, right? Or how many people are watching other people playing, or how many movies are going to be made based on the RPG universes, how many video games will come. I think we'll see a lot of this coming, and this is just the beginning, and I'm really happy for it.
Werewolves are one of those creatures that have withstand the test of time. They've been around for over 50, 60, 70 years. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think the werewolves, vampires, zombies, why do you think these things in the world of darkness have withstood the test of time all these years?
Because they capture the myth and they capture the fears of the epoch, right? So the vampire is this weird nobleman living in the castle. Nobody knows what he does. He has strange hair. He looks differently. He probably sucks the blood out of us. So we capture this emotion, this fear with vampire, right? The zombies are of the colonial times. So we see these people brought outside their homes against their will, and were made slaves. They talk something that we don't know. They move slowly. So we picture this as zombies, right? And the werewolf is a force of nature. We can see these people who can change, who do terrible stuff to us, or who can run to the forest and live like wild things. If you read our Twitter, we put some famous trials. So the fear of the werewolves is really old. So it's like even from 12th and 10th century, like Vikings were perceived by Christians as werewolves sometimes, by berserk warriors. There are many legends about werewolves coming through from Middle Ages, and the first and the last werewolf trial in Poland, like on the record, was from 1901. So we have it here, but the werewolf character that we see here in games and movies were made by Hollywood in the 50s. Yeah, so they made the classical werewolf appeared, and the legend like consolidated and made the final form in the 1950s.
Can you talk about what it's like to work with the publisher for World of Darkness and what they provided in terms of a support to help make this?
Yeah. So they know a lot. So if you have any doubt about can we use that or this, if this might happen in the werewolf, they can judge you, they can tell you, and you can use their guidance. They are also amazing with helping you with shaping the message to the community, and of course with helping you reach the media. So I learned a lot, and it was a very valuable lesson, and I feel I grew as a professional during working with Paradox, and looking forward to working them again.
And then when does your game come out, and what platforms will it be on?
Our game will be on 13th of October, so in like 4 days. We start with Steam and the GOG. It is available on PC, Mac, and Linux, and also on GeForce Now. So you can play on other devices if you use GeForce Now system.
Now your game seems like, for me, I feel your game would fit very well on an iPad. Do you have any plans to go mobile with this game?
We thought about it, and it would be a logical step. So if you have an Android device with GeForce Now, probably you can play it right now. But yes, we would like this game to be on as many platforms, and I think it will be an expression in as many languages as we can. We had to, because we are a really small team, like it's a really small team, we had to focus on some platforms and an English language from the start. If the game goes well, we will port it to our systems for sure.
Awesome, Peter. And where can they go to find more information about Werewolf, the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest?
You could look up our Twitter feed, or you can look the Steam page of the game. We post them like each week. We post dev diaries. You can see how things change with the development and why things there are. You can learn more about the Białowieża forest in which the game takes place. You can even learn more about the illegal logging that was taking place there in 2016 and 2017. So you will see the context of the real events that have happened there, and also some real world legends and trials of werewolves, and also some lore from the Werewolf Apocalypse setting.